My name is Danielle Carter. I'm 30 years old and I work as a chef at a little Italian restaurant in Savannah, Georgia. The kitchen is my second home. The hiss of garlic hitting hot olive oil, the rhythmic chopping of fresh basil, the comforting weight of my cast iron skillet. Food has always been my way of loving people, but this story isn't about pasta or marinara sauce. It's about the day I died and what Jesus told me that changed how I see everyone, especially white people. I never thought I'd be the type of person to talk about visions or near-death experiences. Honestly, I used to roll my eyes at those videos online, but when you've been pulled out of your body, when you've looked into the eyes of the one who made you, there's no going back to normal life. And Jesus didn't just give me peace. He gave me a message. He told me I had to share it. He said, there are hearts out there that would only open if they heard it from me. It happened on a Sunday afternoon in late August. I'd worked a double shift the day before, stayed up too late watching old cooking competition reruns, and my body was running on fumes. I was prepping dough in the restaurant's back kitchen when this crushing pain hit my chest. At first I thought it was just stress, but then my knees buckled, the knife slipped from my hand, and the world spun into darkness. I remember hearing someone shouting my name, the clang of a pan hitting the floor, and then silence. Not the kind of silence where you're waiting for the next sound. This was heavy, deep, almost full. The air around me felt thick, but not suffocating. I opened my eyes and I wasn't in the kitchen anymore. At first, I thought I was standing in the middle of a field. The grass was greener than anything I've ever seen, each blade glowing like it had its own light source. In the distance, I heard music, but not like the music we make here. It felt like the sound itself was alive, like it was breathing. And then I noticed something strange. I could see colors I didn't even have names for. Then I felt him. I didn't have to turn around to know who it was. His presence wrapped around me like the warmest blanket on the coldest night. My whole life I'd heard about Jesus, in Sunday school, in songs and prayers. But this was different. This was real in a way nothing on earth had ever been real. When I finally turned to face him, I couldn't speak. I just stood there, trembling. His eyes, I can't even explain them. They weren't just brown or hazel. They were like windows into eternity. When he looked at me, I felt like he saw every single part of me. The good, the bad, the secrets I never told anyone, the shame I thought I'd buried. And still, he smiled. Danielle, he said. And when he said my name, it was like he was telling me who I really was. You are here because I need you to tell my story, the parts many refuse to see. Before I could ask what he meant, I felt the air shift. Suddenly, I was seeing moments from history like I was watching them unfold in front of me. I saw slavery, ships, chains, pain. I saw segregation, people being turned away, spat on, beaten. I felt the ache of injustice so deep it made my knees buckle. And then I saw something unexpected. A wave of white faces, some full of hatred, yes, but others full of tears. Arms open, kneeling in repentance. Jesus placed his hand on my shoulder and his voice was firm. The enemy has always tried to divide my children by what they see on the outside, but I have people in every color, every nation, whose hearts belong to me. White people are not the enemy. Sin is. There are some I've called who have been silenced by guilt, shame, or fear. Tell them, I have work for them to do. My mind was spinning. I'd never thought much about race beyond my own experiences. The casual comments, the stares, the feeling of being other in certain places. But now, here was Jesus telling me I needed to speak to white people about his heart for them. It was overwhelming. Honestly, it didn't make sense to me yet. Before I could ask him why, the vision shifted again. This time I saw groups of believers, black, white, brown, all together, praying, feeding the hungry, defending the weak. The light around them was so bright it pushed back this dark fog that was trying to cover the land. Unity in me, Jesus said, will be the greatest weapon against the darkness, but the wounds of the past must be healed through my love. You must tell them what I've shown you. And just like that, I was falling backward like I'd been dropped from the sky. The next thing I knew, I was on the cold tile floor of the restaurant, my coworker crying and shaking me. Paramedics were shouting. My chest ached, my head spun, and all I could think was, what just happened to me? That was the day my heart stopped, and the day Jesus gave me a mission.
The hospital kept me overnight, running test after test. They said my heart had stopped for almost 3 minutes before they got it beating again. You're lucky to be alive, the doctor said. But I didn't feel lucky. I felt chosen. And that was terrifying. Lying in that hospital bed, I replay every second of what I'd seen. Jesus' eyes, his words, the visions of pain and unity. But the part about white people kept ringing in my head. It wasn't that I disagreed. It was that I didn't know how to even begin sharing that without people twisting it. A nurse came in to check my vitals, a middle-aged white woman with kind eyes. She smiled and asked if I needed anything. Normally, I would have just said, no, thank you. But in that moment, I felt a nudge in my spirit. I asked her if she believed in Jesus. Her eyes lit up. Oh yes, he's my everything. I swallowed hard. I think he gave me a message for people like you. She tilted her head. For people like me? I told her what I'd seen about Jesus saying white people are not the enemy and how he has work for them to do. By the time I finished, her hands were trembling. She whispered, Danielle, you have no idea how many of us carry shame for things we didn't do personally, but still feel responsible for. We love Jesus, but we don't know if we're allowed to speak, to help, without making things worse. Tears filled her eyes. Thank you for telling me this. That moment confirmed it. Jesus wasn't asking me to start a debate. He was asking me to set people free from the lies holding them back from loving others. When I was discharged, I went home, but I couldn't sleep. For nights, I lay awake thinking about the unity Jesus showed me. I remembered his words, unity in me will be the greatest weapon against the darkness. So I started small. I told my mom. She's a God-fearing black woman who's been through her share of injustice. She was quiet for a long time, then said, Baby, if Jesus told you to say it, then you say it. But you better pray for courage, because not everyone's going to want to hear it. And she was right. When I shared my story online, some people embraced it. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, all saying they needed to hear it. But others accused me of selling out or downplaying racism. I had to remind myself, this wasn't my message. It was his. It's been months since that day, but I still feel his presence when I talk about it. I still see that vision of believers from every background standing together against the darkness. And I know this. If Jesus cared enough to stop my heart and show me that unity is possible, then it's worth every uncomfortable conversation to see it happen. Because in the end, when we stand before him, he won't ask what color we were. He'll ask if we loved like he did.